Good afternoon, everyone. This is Nitha Ramachandra from the NR Hour Sports Show. This is episode 810. Joined by a really special guest. His name is Daniel Ewing. He used to play in the NBA, and he played overseas, and he played for Duke University for college. And obviously, I'm really looking forward to this interview. It's truly an honor to have you on the show today, Daniel. And first of all, before we get started, how are you and your family doing so far?
I'm going good. Thanks for asking, man. I'm doing good. Family's doing good. I'm excited about being on. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. So I want to start off with your childhood growing up, and when did you start realizing that you wanted to play sports? And not only basketball, did you get to play any other sports growing up before deciding basketball? And did you have that one role model that you looked up to?
For me, it started at a very early age. I started playing organized sports when I was 5. Started playing organized basketball when I was 5. Had 2 older brothers that I, kind of ran after and wanted to be like and wanted to do everything that they were doing. So, like I said, started basketball at 5, and then eventually I got into playing football and baseball. But football and basketball were the 2 sports I grew up playing the most. So yeah, was thought I was pretty good at both at a young age. And me growing up, people that I looked up to as far as on the basketball side were, I was a big fan of the Fab Five, as a kid. Big fan of, the Running Rebels with Larry Johnson and, Stacey Augmon and those guys, Greg Anthony. And then obviously, for me, I was a big fan of, of the early 90s team, Duke teams with, Christian Laettner and Grant Hill and Bobby Hurley and those guys. But I tried to model myself after a Grant Hill type player, Ray Allen type player. Those kind of players that I gravitated to, in my early years.
So I want to ask you, what advantage do you get as an athlete playing multiple sports, and what do you learn from that? Because I feel like it's really important for kids now these days to play multiple sports to learn different aspects of it. And if they decide to play one sport, that I think it help by playing multiple sports. It does help sometimes.
Well, I mean, each sport is dynamic in its own way, So and then you also a lot of times kids who play one sport, you get a different group of friends that play the other sport, and so it's a great social tool for kids, to be able to go out and meet different kids, their peers that, from different parts of the city or different parts of the area that might not play one of the other sports that they participate in. And so that's a great part about it too. But like I said, each sport has its own teaching tools and dynamic in its own ways to be able to teach you different things about, just like teamwork and sportsmanship, and life lessons, being responsible, discipline. Each sports has its own way of teaching you those things. And so I definitely encourage and am an advocate for, for kids trying different, at least trying different sports. You might not play multiple sports at one time, but at least trying different sports just to see what it is that you might have a passion for.
Yeah. So in high school, what were the main things that you learned as a high school player? And did you get to play multiple positions, or did you really focus on one position in basketball?
Well, for me, what I learned in high school, I was able and fortunate and blessed to play with a really talented group of guys. And so I learned one of the biggest things I learned was how to play with other really good players, which a lot of kids, when they're good themselves at a young age, they don't get a chance to do that. They don't have the opportunity to play around and with other really good players. And it becomes kind of, a big adjustment as they get older at different levels of playing with better talent. So that was one of the biggest things for me, just being able to play with other really good players, throughout my high school career. And as far as playing multiple positions, no, like I said, our team had every position covered in high school. So, I had a really good point guard in TJ Ford. We had a really great shooter in Kenny Taylor. I did what I did at, off the ball as well. We had big guys and Ivan McFarlane. We had guys that played their role and did well in their role. So nobody really had to go outside of what their role was. And I mean, we all was fortunate for that.
So speaking of TJ Ford, you played with TJ Ford in high school, and what was it like being his teammate? And obviously, he was a great NBA point guard. So what was it like playing with him in high school?
Man, it was like I said, it was for us. I mean, it was a blessing. Like we didn't necessarily, TJ didn't grow up in our area, so it was a surprise for both of us that we actually ended up at the same high school. Like I said, he's not from our area. He happened to move to our area the spring of eighth grade year. He went to a different middle school than I went to, but the middle schools that I went to and the middle school that he went to at that time, they combined to go to our high school. And so that's how we met there. We was already kind of playing with each other in the summertime, but I had no idea he was going to be going to that high school. And initially, I wasn't going to go to my high school, the high school that we all ended up at myself. So it was a big surprise. And like I said, everything, comes together for a reason. And so playing with TJ, man, was amazing. He made the game a lot easier for all of us. And so, like I said, I was thankful and definitely helped me going forward in my career with being able to play with other really good guards and understanding, how to play off the ball and play off a dominant point guard like such as TJ, and other stages of my career.
Yeah. So obviously after your high school career, how many offers did you get scholarship wise from colleges, and what made you choose Duke, and what was the recruiting process? Obviously Coach K recruited you, and what was that recruitment process like?
So I'm glad you asked me that because I actually had a post not too long ago on Twitter, and I'm not a big Twitter guy, but I had a post for the high school athletes now with them understanding the difference between getting recruited and getting an offer. And so, like I said, for me, I was Mr. Texas, Mr. Basketball in the state of Texas. I was a McDonald's All-American. I was all these things right in high school. So yes, I got recruited by just about every school in the country. I got recruited by just about every school. But no, I didn't receive an offer from every school. That's not how that goes. And so it's a big difference between getting recruited and receiving offers. And so for me, I knew what schools I wanted to go to. So that kind of eliminated, some of the schools not actually making an offer. I knew I wanted to go to the top schools. And that was, at the time, was your Dukes, your Kansas, Kentucky's, Arizona. Those were the type of schools that the only type of schools I was looking to go to. And so those were the schools that really, were recruiting me the heaviest and basically made the offers. And so initially, a lot of people don't know this, but initially, Kentucky made the first offer. Kentucky offered me first out of any school. I think this was middle of the summer, going into my senior year. So I'm a junior, just finished my junior season that summer, my last AAU of basketball. Kentucky made an offer and they basically threw it up in the air and said, hey, it's out of you and another McDonald's All-American that we're considering for, to take. And at the time I wasn't ready to make a decision. And so, I said, hey, I can't give you guys an answer right now. So I need some time to, go back home and talk to my parents about it. And the other guy ended up committing on the spot basically. And so that's how Kentucky got out the picture. But for me, Duke, and like I said, Duke and Kansas was really my final two options. And Duke was always the school I wanted to go to. So it was an easy decision for me. I didn't have this hoopla, dragged out recruiting process. Like I said, I knew exactly the type of schools I was trying to get to and the type of schools I wanted to. And once I got the real interest from those schools, I mean, everybody else, I wasn't worried about, going on all of my visits. So that's how that happened.
So when you chose Duke officially, when you signed with Duke, and what was that feeling like? And obviously Duke is one of the best colleges out there when it comes to atmosphere. Obviously coaching staff is amazing. Players you played with, actually, you played with Jay Williams and Shane Battier too. And we had Jay Williams on the show a couple months back, and he was an honor to talk to. And he's doing great things on ESPN now. But what was it like just playing at Duke, playing with the great talent you had, and playing underneath Coach K?
Man, like I said, it was a dream come true for me. I was a kid growing up and, in the early 90s, watching, the 90, 91 team, 92 team, and then the teams throughout the mid 90s, and then come back around to, having a really good team in 99 that came up short, against UConn in the finals. Like, I remember all these things. And then obviously it's my time to start getting recruited by Duke. So I'm, I'm following along with the, Shane Battier crew, Jay Will, Boozer, Dunley, Nate James. So I know all, so man, it was, like I said, it was a dream come true to actually get recruited, the Coach K and the staff at the time, I was their number one guy for what they was looking for, and so that was special in itself. I was a lone recruit. Then to get there and like I said, playing with a guy like Jay Will, I didn't understand. But I didn't know. Like I said, I had never played against Jay Will in AAU, so I didn't really know. You see it on TV, but I didn't really know how good he was. And so, getting to go up against him in practice, man, and seeing how special of a player he was, man, it's unfortunate that, he had it's really unfortunate for the sports world that he had his motorcycle accident that cut his career short. But Jay Will had the goods for sure. Like he had the goods for sure. He's probably outside of TJ, he's probably the best player that I've played with. And so that says a lot. But yeah, I mean, the group of guys that we had there, man, was phenomenal. I really thought that we should have repeated that year. Having the team that we had coming back from the previous year, they won the national championship. They had all these guys coming back that was more experienced now. And I'm like, man, look, I just come in, try to plug in what I can, being the lone freshman. But we got all this experience. We got the best player in the country on our team. We got these guys coming back from the year before. I'm like, man, this is a sure. We definitely get back to the Final Four at least. But that's why you have to play the games, and that's why March Madness is so special, because none of that is guaranteed. And so, but yeah, man, it was special times.
Yeah, so speaking of the experience in the tournament, what was it like playing in the March Madness and especially playing in in front of those fans? I think you guys have one of the best atmospheres in college basketball. And what was it playing in front of those fans and playing in the March Madness experience?
Well, I mean, if you watch any of the basketball this year with the COVID situation and the team, not just Duke, but all the teams not having that atmosphere for their fan support, you can tell the difference, right? And so I say that to say the Cameron Crazies definitely make up the atmosphere of what people know as Cameron Indoor Stadium. Like the fans make that atmosphere what it is, and they're special year in and year out, and definitely thankful and appreciate their support year in and year out throughout the decades, throughout the years. But yeah, it's for me, it's nothing. I don't think it's. I mean, like I said, you have your different situations where maybe Kansas might have something that fan base and or atmosphere that maybe can compete. I've never played there, so I can't tell you. But I think, and of course I'm biased, but I think Cameron Indoor is the best atmosphere for college basketball that you can find.
So I want to get to your draft experience now. And what was it like waiting for your name to be called, waiting with your family, and not knowing where you're going? But you got drafted in 2005, round 2, pick 32 by the Clippers. And what was that like when you got the call from the Los Angeles Clippers and the relief afterwards?
Definitely was a relief. And like I said, I always had confidence that I would get drafted. And I was kind of one of those guys that was kind of had a kind of a pretty lengthy range. So I could have went anywhere from the mid-20s to where I went, right, to early second round somewhere. And so so around like pick 22, 23, I was like, okay, this might be it. So, and then kind of like a little disappointed that you don't get drafted in the first round, because that's, you grow up, that's what you dream about, like being a first round pick, being able to, possibly, walk on the stage and, get your hat over there. But I was very thankful, man. Like I said, another dream come true to hear my name called and be drafted by the Clippers.
Yeah. So what was it like shaking hands with the late David Stern? And obviously it was a tragic thing that happened to him, and rest in peace. And what was it like just to get to shake his hand?
Well, see, I mean, I didn't get to shake his hand. I wasn't at the draft, like I said, and I was a second round pick. So typically, unless you're at the draft, it's the second round picks. You don't.
Yeah, I didn't realize that.
Right, yeah. So I mean, after the first round, I'm not sure, it might have been Adam Silver back then, but after the first round, I don't know his position, but it's no longer the commissioner calling out the names.
Yeah. No, I don't even know why. I don't even know why I asked you that. I should know that better.
No, it's all good.
But now going into the Clippers training camp and seeing you play with great players like Marco Jarek, Elton Brand, Kenny Anderson. We had Kenny Anderson on the show too, and Sean Livingston. You play with Bobby Simmons, Mikey Moore. What goes through your mind when you walk into that locker room and you see a lot of great veterans in there?
Well, for me, that group of guys were gone the
Okay.
year I got drafted. So yeah, I did play with Sean Livingston.
Mm.
I did play with Elton Brand. Um, the year I was drafted, that group of guys were gone. So they had picked up in free agency. They had picked up Sam Cassell,
Yeah.
who I watched a lot, him playing for the Rockets when I was a young kid.
Right.
And Katino Mobley, I picked up Katino Mobley in free agent, another
Oh, wow.
Houston Rockets guy that I watched at like in high school. So I was familiar with a lot of the guys, that I was teammates with. Sean Livingston was supposed to be a freshman my senior year at Duke, before he had committed to Duke, but he decided to take his talents to the NBA instead. So kind of knew Sean a little bit just from him supposedly was going to be a Duke guy. Knew of Sam Cassell. Well, I knew Sam Cassell just from him being back in him and Katino. I knew both just from being back in the summertime, working out with those guys with John Lucas back then. Of course, I knew Elton Brand and Corey Maggette also was on that team.
Yeah.
So I was, like I said, I was familiar with a lot of the guys on that team. And that first year, we did have a nice group of guys, a mixture of nice veterans and young guys, and we were healthy, and that's what made us successful that first season.
Did you play with Chris Kaman too?
I played with, yes, I did. Also, I left out, yeah, I played with CK, young Chris Kaman, who people might not realize, but Chris Kaman was a very talented,
Yeah.
talented, big in his time. That doesn't, he doesn't get a lot of the credit. But if you ever played with Chris Kaman, or played against Chris Kaman, I'm pretty sure his opponents would say the same.
Yeah. So the funny thing here, your coach was Mike Dunleavy Sr. that year, and you played with his son and Duke. So what was it like just getting into the family tree and playing with his son, and now being underneath and being and his for his father being the coach for you?
I mean, it was cool. Like I said, I was familiar with that. There was a lot of familiarity with that situation. Had already, like I said, I played with Dunleavy Jr. Of course, I knew who his dad was, and I had kind of already met his dad before, just because I played with the son. And so, I say there was a lot of familiarity with me going to the Clippers situation, which made it, a kind of easy transition for me as far as kind of already knowing some guys, knowing of some guys, for sure. So. But that also is different between. It's a difference between your teammate's dad, being your teammate's dad, and then your teammate's dad becoming your coach.
Right.
And so it's a different dynamic that. But Coach Dunleavy, I mean, he was good. I mean, he's more of an old school type coach. Who really didn't. He come from the era where where young guys really don't play, and so that was what I was fighting with at the time.
So before we get to your overseas experience, obviously you spent 2 years with the Clippers, and what would you say your 2 years was with the Clippers, and what was the experience like there, and and how grateful were you they gave you the opportunity to start your NBA career?
Man, forever grateful. Like I said, forever grateful. Of course, I wish it would have been a longer duration of time in the NBA, but I'm forever grateful that Coach Dunleavy, and rest in peace, Elgin Baylor, the GM at the time, that those guys, saw a lot of me that they liked, and thought I fit the organization, and I definitely appreciate the opportunity to fulfill a dream. But it was short lived, based on the expectations I had for myself. But yeah, I'm forever grateful for the opportunity.
Yeah. So now transitioning into your overseas career, was it a tough transition for you moving from USA to overseas, or how tough was it for you? And what was it like, the process?
Man, it was a man. That's a man. People don't understand. I mean, and overseas is way more. It gives way more attention now, and it's kind of glorified now, because of the success that former NBA players have gone over there. And whatever the case may be. But man, yeah, that's a tough transition, man, and it's not for everybody. You really gotta have your mind right, and the right mindset to go and do that, and make it successful for yourself. But yeah, man, it was tough. I knew nothing about Europe, period. Right? I knew nothing about Europe. I didn't know any teams. I didn't know any leagues. I knew nothing. It was just, hey, man, we got this opportunity for you. You're gonna be making a lot of money. I think you should, this is my agent and people around me. I think it's the best move right now. And so, man, I'm looking at the situation. I'm like, man, like how can I pass up this money? But I really was like, man, I don't know nothing about it. I'm like, man, I would rather just stay over here. But I'm like, they like, look, man, at the end of the day, it's really about making the most money you can make. And so, like I said, at the time, it was like might have been the best situation to do it. But yeah, it was tough. Going to Russia, my first stop was Russia, Moscow, Russia,
Mhm.
and just those harsh winters, just the dynamics of the relationship, the relationship between America and Russia. I'm an African American man, so I can't pass for a Russian. And so obviously, you see me, you know that I'm not Russian. So, like I said, I didn't have any issues, me personally, but at the time she was my girlfriend, but my wife now was my girlfriend at the time. She was with me, and she had a couple of encounters, like I said, just being an African American woman in a foreign country. So it's a lot of things, man, that you don't think about when you hear about guys playing overseas and dealing with different things.
Hmm. So speaking of Lithuania, France, and Russia, our friend Kia, she wants to know what was it like playing in those places and living there.
A lot of people think, man, and like I said, I wasn't a guy who grew up like wanting to explore the world. And so for me, it was never like, oh wow, like while I'm there. Now now that I'm retired and looking back on my situations, I'm like, man, I've been in some nice places. I've been in some amazing countries, met some amazing people, have been able to experience some amazing different cultures and all that stuff. But while I was in it, and it was all new to me, and there was no Google and all this stuff, right, to look up, yeah, it was difficult. But like I said, I reflecting on everything, I've been in some really great situations. I've been in some amazing countries, and I mean, for me, I was fortunate enough to make the most of it.
Hmm. So what was so when you were going to these different countries, and what were the main things that you learned? The style of overseas basketball obviously is different from the NBA, and I think it's a much quicker game. So how did it how what was the adjustment period for you when it came to playing terms, like on the court wise? Did you adjust quickly to the team, or how long did it take you?
Well, the style is definitely different, right? Back then, especially, it might be more. The style of play now might be more. It might all around America, overseas, where it might be more global now, where the style of play is kind of like all the same now, right? Maybe, but back then, definitely was a distinction between the European style of play and NBA style of play.
Hmm.
For me, basketball is basketball in any country, wherever you're at. If you know how to play the game the right way, if you have a high enough IQ, basketball is always going to be basketball at the end of the day. Like I said, the biggest adjustment for me were just the little things like learning the rules of the European game, of the FIBA game, the rules. Like I said, it's more of a college type style where the coaches are more in control than at the NBA. Like I was coming from the NBA, so than the NBA level where it's more of like players like, all right, we getting into our best player, trying to let him do whatever he does best. Europe is more of a college type style where it's more team oriented. And yeah, you still have your star players, but at the same time, you're still trying to make it work where it's a team concept and it's not as much one-on-one like in the NBA. But like I said, in the day, it still comes down to basketball is basketball. You make the right plays, you make the right passes. Can you get a stop when you need to? And so just the rules, as far as that's what was the biggest adjustment, just learning the rules and the way of the difference between, okay, this is what works here, this is what doesn't work.
All right. Did you and your wife like learn any of the languages, and or did you have like a translator on the court with you when the game was going, or how did the language barrier work for you?
I never had an issue with the language barrier. Fortunate with that situation also. I've always had coaches and most of my teammates always spoke English. So I never really had to learn uh, any other languages. I actually tried my first year, just going to a foreign country for the first time. You're out there, you're out to America. We actually tried to learn some Russian, in which we picked up a few words. But I mean, to actually learn a foreign language, you actually have to do it every day. Like it would be like going back to school, or it would actually be a additional responsibility of, hey, all right, I'm gonna take this time, a couple of hours to whatever. So I mean, of course, everywhere I went, I picked up a few words, but I never really learned the language of fluently anywhere, or even close to fluently anywhere to speak another language.
Hmm. So now looking back at your career, and how grateful are you that you got to play the game that you love and experience different countries and play in the NBA, play with great teammates, great coaches, and learn everything about the game. How grateful are you to be in that position right now?
Like I said, reflecting on everything now, I'm very grateful, man. Because I had an amazing career. I was blessed to have a long career that was successful, winning championships, individual accolades, also, being able to play on some good teams with some great teammates, and like I said, some great situations based on what I know from the other players that I've encountered and other teammates I've had with their different situations at different teams and different stops. So man, I've been very blessed in that aspect. And like I said, man, I'm grateful and I'm thankful. Man, like I said, I wish I had the mindset that I have now to have embraced these different stops, different countries a little bit better than I did. But I was young and I was so focused on, trying to get back to the level I was at. I wasn't as what's the word?
Oh,
I wasn't as engaged as I probably should have been with the different stops I was at. My mind was, okay, I'm here. Let me play well so I can, prove or show this that, I can do this and that so I can have a chance to get back to the NBA.
hmm. So I'm just curious though, with the talent you had, how come no other NBA team gave you any opportunities to stay longer in the NBA?
Man, you and me both are curious about that. I don't know. I had a couple of opportunities after my first couple of years overseas. So after my first year in Russia, I thought I had some really good opportunities to get back in the NBA. Toronto Raptors. I went to some league with Toronto Raptors. That didn't necessarily work out for me. Then the following year, I went to summer league again with the Memphis Grizzlies. Like I said, it just didn't work out. I'll just say that it just didn't work out. And by that time, so I'm going in year 5 as a pro, making some really good money. By that time, I'm like, man, look, it is what it is. Like, if they want to come get me, they're gonna have to come find me. I'm not doing some league. You know what I'm saying? I was like, I'm not gonna keep doing some league, and it's not working out for me. When going into each situation, I was told like this and this is, I was told something different. But then when I get in the situation, it doesn't. It's a different story. So I had just kind of got fed up with that. I was like, look, man, if they're gonna come get me, they're gonna come get me. If not, then I keep working, and it is what it is.
Yeah. Do you feel like you can still play the game?
Right now,
Yeah.
if I was in shape, for sure. And my skills haven't diminished. My skills haven't diminished that much. But if I was in shape, for sure, I still could play at a high level. You're talking about overseas, yeah, I can still make a team and begin to contribute and be productive. But I'm not in any shape to go out here and say I can go out here and get buckets on anybody. I still can make an open shot, but yeah, I'm not in shape to go ahead and consistently get buckets.
So what advice would you give your kids and other kids that are trying to reach their goals and achieve the dream?
Honestly, man, the biggest thing is you got to believe in yourself. I grew up, in the era where, I didn't have a Daniel Ewing, or I'm just using a TJ Ford that I had access to, or that I was connected with, that I could see like, all right, man, like, yeah, this is a person that I want to be like, that I can get training from, or, he's my coach, or he's my mentor. I didn't have that. A lot of these kids have access to people and things that they want to be like growing up. So, it's a little different. But the biggest thing starts with yourself. Like, I believed in myself from a very young age that, hey, man, I think I can be a professional athlete, even though at the time teachers couldn't understand that when they asked you, hey, I need you to write a report, or hey, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I would always say, I want to be a professional athlete. Because at the time, I didn't say basketball or football because I played both sports. So my thing was, I think I'm good enough to be a professional athlete in either sport. And so I've had a couple of teachers be like, well, that's not realistic. Not realistic to who?
Right.
And so, like I said, had I listened to a few people throughout my life who who couldn't see, couldn't see past their failures or their vision. I wouldn't have succeeded like I did. But yeah, I mean, it started with me. I always believed in myself, and then I was fortunate enough to have great family and friends support as well. And then, like I said, I was around other people as I got older that had the same dreams and aspirations of, wanting to go to college and get a D1 scholarship, wanting to make it to the NBA. And so that helps too, to be around like-minded people who are going to help you and push you. But yeah, it starts with yourself. You got to have confidence in yourself that you can accomplish whatever it is that you're trying to do.
Yeah. So now we do this fun little segment on the show called the rapid fire segment. You ready for this?
Let's do it.
All right. So I got to start off asking you about Coach K, who announced his retirement after the 2021 season, and Coach Snyder will take over afterwards, assistant coach. And like you said, you played. You said it was an honor playing underneath him. But speaking of his resume, how grateful are you that you got the chance to play underneath him, and he's going to go down as one of the best, I think, head coaches in college basketball.
Man, like I said, I've been in some great situations. Being able to play for Coach K and to wear that uniform for 4 years and to get his, to be under him and be taught the game from his perspective and, the Duke way. Was definitely a blessing, right? Definitely a blessing. And it helped me to it was a part of me becoming an NBA player and, getting to reach my ultimate dream. And so, man, I'm definitely he's going to be missed when that time comes. But I'm definitely appreciative and thankful for being able to say, hey, I played for Coach K. A lot of kids grow up wanting to go to Duke, and not everyone gets the chance. And so, I'm thankful for my opportunity to play at Duke and for Coach K.
So, were you shocked when he announced it, and did you reach out to him?
I haven't reached out to him yet, right? I haven't reached out to him yet. I wasn't necessarily shocked. I was a little stunned because I wasn't expecting him to retire just yet. Now, I had in mind that it was coming pretty soon in the next couple of years, but I wasn't. I was a little stunned that it's happening now. Not necessarily. I understand. He's 75 years old. He's been doing this for 40 plus years. At some point, you got to walk away from everything. Every good thing comes to an end. Right. And so, for him, he felt like it was his time. And like I said, I think, we'll be in good hands with John Shire taking over the program, in the following season. But definitely Coach K is going to be missed, and it's going to be different. Yeah. I mean, obviously, it's going to be different. But like I said, I think Shire he will have the support he needs, and I think he'll do a great job, man. Like I said, the brotherhood is going to be behind him, and we just have to see what the new era with the John Shire era of Duke basketball is going to look like.
Obviously, there's going to be a new rivalry now because North Carolina, Roy Williams is gone, and you have Herbert Davis. So it's going to be interesting how the Shire and Davis era now goes on between those two coaches. So.
Yeah, it's some big changes from two historical basketball programs. Both, two giant Hall of Fame coaches are basically leaving at the same time, and so it's a new era for Carolina already. And Hubert Davis taking over, and then we all know that a year from now, John Shire is going to be running the show at Duke.
So has people asked you before that you with the same last name as you, Patrick Ewing Jr. Has people asked you if you're related to them?
All the time. I mean, I don't get it too much anymore. When I was growing up, I heard it all the time, and a lot of it didn't make sense. Well, I guess if you don't know my full name, then it kind of would make sense. But I'm a junior myself,
right?
So a lot of people would ask me, "Am I Patrick Ewing's son?"
Right.
But if you know my full name, like you wouldn't ask that. Like you couldn't ask, like I'm a junior myself, so how can I be Patrick Ewing's son? He already has, So, but yeah, I used to get that all the time when I was younger, man. Just like I said, just because our last names are the same. But no, we have no relation, at least that I know of. There's no relation between me and Patrick Ewing.
Favorite? What was your most memorable game that you played at Duke, in the NBA and overseas?
Most memorable game at Duke. Man, that's tough. All right, I got a couple. I would just say my freshman year playing in the blue and white game, right? So before the March Madness type game, first time I was able to actually see the uniform with my name on it, all that. So so that was special. Got to do that my freshman year. Also, my freshman year, I had a career high game at the time in the NCAA tournament against Notre Dame in the second round. And I'll just say moments because I mean that's my sophomore year I was MVP of the ACC tournament, and then my entire junior season, we made a Final Four run. That was a special season.
Funniest teammate that you played for? I mean, played with.
Funniest teammate. Funniest teammate. Man, I had to say one of my high school teammates. Man, we had some characters on there. We had a few characters. I had to say one of my high school. If I'm gonna say, I'm probably one of my high school teammates for sure. But Lee Melchione, my Duke teammate, Lee Melchione was a character.
Yeah, so obviously you've been covering the NBA playoffs too. And what are your thoughts so far in the NBA playoffs? And tonight, man, I can't wait. Bucks Nets. That's gonna be a classic series in my opinion. But obviously you played for the Clippers and they survived yesterday. And then the Lakers. Are you surprised that the Lakers were a first round exit?
I am. I mean, you're looking at both teams, and granted, the Lakers wasn't healthy. We understand that the Lakers weren't healthy. I still thought they would be able to win that series, but it's a lot of layers to what went on in that. And obviously, if LeBron doesn't play at a high level that we know he could play at, then the Lakers don't have a shot, especially with AD not playing. So that's what it was. You got to tip your hats off to the Suns because they answered the bell and played well, and Booker showed up and CP toughed it out. You know what I'm saying, and did what he needed to do to help his team. Help his team get the W, get the series. So yeah, man. You got to take your hats off to the Suns, no doubt. But the Clippers are. I mean, the Clippers stayed alive last night. I mean, Kawhi Leonard did what I thought LeBron would try to do. And like I said, look, man, I'm gonna put y'all on my back. Whether it works or not, we're gonna find out. But I can't. I'm not ready to go home. I'm gonna do everything I can do to try to help us win. And so they was able to stay alive last night. But I actually got the Mavs winning this series.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I mean, if Luka Doncic can play like he played in the first 5 games, and granted they did a good job against him last night, but if he's able to get the ball rolling like he has been in the first 5 games, the Clippers are in trouble.
What are your thoughts on tonight's game? Tonight's game, the Bucks and Nets. I think this is gonna be a long series.
Well, it depends. I mean, Brooklyn, man. Like I said, Brooklyn. Even though they don't have a lot of chemistry together, you got 2 or 3 of the top 10, 15 players in the world on one team. And, you know what I'm saying? And they're healthy. I don't know how much Milwaukee has for that. Here's the thing. I think it'll be a good series. As far as I have Brooklyn winning the series, but if Milwaukee's going to make a push for any type of championship run, it's only going to be because if Giannis can figure out how to play like an MVP in the playoffs, Milwaukee has a chance. But if Giannis can't figure out how to dominate in the playoffs like he does in the regular season, then Milwaukee will be having an early exit like they've had the past couple of years.
Yeah, I think the Bucks, in my opinion, if the Bucks are in trouble, if Giannis can't make the jump shots, that's when they're in trouble.
Yeah, but like I said, Giannis, like I said, he has to figure out a way to he dominates in the regular season without making jump shots, right? So it's either you're going to figure out a way to make the jump shots, or you're going to figure out a way to say, hey, I can still dominate in the playoffs the way I dominated in the regular season by getting to the basket, drawing the defense. It's just that simple. However he has to do it, he has to figure out a way to dominate the way he does in the regular season, as the same way in the playoffs for the Bucks to be a championship type team.
So you got the Nets in 4, 5, 6, 7.
Man, honestly, whereas the Nets have home court advantage.
Yeah, the game 1 is tonight in Brooklyn. So if they get both of them, I think the Bucks are in trouble.
I'm gonna be nice. I'm gonna be nice. I'm gonna be nice. I'm gonna go the Nets in 6.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm gonna be nice. That's being nice.
yeah. I'm going Nets in 5. So
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say, but I'm hoping that it's a better series because if Nets in 5, that means most likely it's not a good series.
mhm.
So just to make it kind of interesting, I'm gonna say Brooklyn in 6.
Yeah. So I want to ask you about Portland Trailblazers. Obviously, they're first round exit too, and I feel bad for Damian Lillard. And he posts. I'm sure you saw his Instagram post. He quoted Nipsey Hussle. And what are your thoughts? Do you think it's time for him to make a move to a different team, a bigger market, or? But I'm hearing that he wants Jason Kidd as the next head coach.
I didn't see the Instagram post. So what was the quote?
So something. Let me bring this up right now. Hold on.
Okay.
Uh, he posted a picture of him walking out the runway or yeah, whatever that thing is. He said how long should I stay dedicated? How long till opportunity meet preparation? And he quoted Nipsey Hussle.
Oh, okay, I did see that. I thought you okay. Uh, man, I mean, yeah, like, but all right. Here's the thing. Here's the thing about that. He did all he could do for that series in that series, right? He had a 55-point game that they still lost, right? And that's, I mean, as a fan, as a spectator, however you want to look at it, that's all you're asking for those type of players. Hey, man, just the effort to go out there and try. You might not necessarily get the results that that you want, but just to go out there and try to do all that you can do, to help your team win the game. And he did that. He's been doing it for his career, right? I mean, Damian Lillard is one of the most clutch players we've seen in the last several years, and so. Uh, I don't think he can win in Portland. Just honestly, they can't win in Portland with what they have. CJ McCollum is a hell of a player, but they have 2 small guards in the backcourt, and neither one of those guys are defensive guys. Neither one of those guys can stop the other team's top guards. So that's not going to work. It's not going to win. That you can't win a championship that way. Granted, they can score the basketball, but when it comes down to it, you got to be able to stop somebody at the end of the day, and they don't have enough pieces for that reason. And like I said, Terry Stotts just got the. I mean, when somebody has to go, the first person to go is the coach.
Yep.
Not necessarily the coach's fault. Right? I don't believe Terry Stotts. I think Terry Stotts has done a great job in Portland. He's done a great job for that team and with that team. But the fact that they keep coming up short, you gotta start making changes somewhere, and that's the first change. As far as Dame Lillard saying he wants Jay Kidd as the coach, I think he has every right to. I mean, he's that type of player. He's dedicated, his career to that franchise, and he says he wants to be there. And so, if that's the case, man, and if you really value, him as a player and respect what he's done for your organization, for your franchise, then you really consider Jason Kidd as a #1 candidate. I mean, basically, it should. I mean, if that's what Dame Lillard is saying, and if you feel like Jason Kidd actually has everything that can help this team go forward, then why shouldn't Jason Kidd be? Why should? I mean, granted, you got to do your due. You have to go through the process, but I think if that's the case, your franchise parents say, "Hey, man, I think this is who I want. I think he works for our team." I mean, you have to really look at it. If not, then I mean, at some point, yeah, you might have to say, as much as Dame Lillard has said, "Hey, man, I'm loyal to Portland, loyal to Oregon. I want to be here." At some point, man, yeah, I mean, you have to say, "Hey, maybe I've given all I got to this organization. I made enough money. I do ultimately want to win. Would like to win." That plays a factor, and so I wouldn't be mad if Dame Lillard decided to say, "Hey, man, I'm taking my talent elsewhere."
Yeah.
You can't be mad at him if he did that. You can't. I mean, you can't. I mean, he's done just about all he can do for that situation, and for what they have right now. I mean, I wouldn't be mad at him. I would actually prefer for him to go somewhere.
Yeah.
And at least what I'm saying, and be in a situation you don't have to team up with like other guys have done with, but at least be in a better situation where, hey, man, I'm on a team where we legitimately have a chance to make it to the Western Conference Finals and possibly be a finals team.
Hey, I'm a New York Knicks fan. We have a spot open for him. Come to New York. Let's go. We're back. We're back. We're in the playoffs. We were in the playoffs this year, and now things are looking up in New York. So, Dame, if you're listening, come to New York. We need you.
Man, that would be something. I don't see him going to New York, but that would be something though to see Dan. I think he stays. I think he stays in the West.
Oh wow.
I mean, if he changes situations for me, I mean, I don't know, but like, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I look at stuff from a personnel standpoint. I'm not talking about how the money works and all that. I'm not a GM, so I don't care about that. But the Lakers need a point guard too.
Yeah.
You know, LeBron is getting older. AD does stay hurt.
Mm-hmm.
The Lakers could use somebody like James, like that. You know, like
Yeah.
the Lakers could use a point guard too. I mean, the Clippers could too, but I think they got enough already. They just have to figure out. But it's just some situations in the West that, hey, like, but that would be interesting to see. It would be interesting to see Dame anywhere else besides Portland because he's been there for so long. He's put in enough work that we've seen like what he's done in Portland. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah. So going back to the coaching thing real quick, I'm just curious. You could make a good coach someday, candidate, and would you consider down the line if the right opportunity presents for yourself, maybe starting as assistant coach at Duke, former college, or some other colleges, or would you consider being a coach at that down the line?
At this point, I would. Had you asked me this 2 years ago, I would have told you no way. But at this point, man, I'm in a position in my life where now I'm able to more comfortable with actually putting that out there and saying, hey, yeah, the right situation came on or the right opportunity presented itself that I would definitely be interested in, in at least looking at it and taking a real look at it and seeing what's what. But yeah, 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, definitely would have been like, nah, coaching's not for me. But things change as you get older.
Hey, there's a coaching opening in Orlando or some other place. Orlando just opened a spot. Would you consider Orlando or some other team now?
I would. I mean, I definitely would. Like I said, for me, I've learned not to, like I said, actually, if the situation opportunity actually presented itself, I've learned, from turning down other opportunities, not necessarily coaching, just turning out. Like at this point, man, you at least take a look at every opportunity that comes your way, just to give it a shot, just to see what it is. So yeah, I definitely would.
Yeah. So before we get to the last two things, this is a two-part question, and obviously, Coach K is going to still coach in 2021. Obviously, so do you see Duke? Do you see Duke getting him another ring before he leaves?
It's possible. I mean, we got enough coming back, right? The guys will be much older. Wendell Moore, a couple of guys. That we have some. We have enough coming back. That's going to be already accustomed to the system and what's expected, and then we have a talented group coming in. So that's a good combination. We got guys coming back who's been through it already, and they're more experienced. They're a year more experienced than they were. Then you have this talented group of fresh guys that's coming in that's going to be really hungry and what I'm saying, like wet behind the ears, kind of, so to speak, to mesh all that in together. I think they have a good shot. Like I said, nothing's guaranteed. So a lot of things have to go right, but I think they have the pieces that's coming in this year to really make a legitimate run forward.
And the next part to this, who do you have in the NBA Finals?
Man, now that changed because one of the teams I thought if they got their stuff together would be back there is out the playoffs already. Man, so I got Brooklyn going to the finals out the East.
The West is tough this year, I think.
The West is up in the air.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't believe in the Clippers. They haven't proven, they haven't done anything to prove that I should say, hey, you guys, so the Clippers got to make it through this round first. Mm-hmm. They had a disappointing exit last year. So, the Clippers haven't proven anything to say, hey, on paper, yeah, they're a team that should make it to the finals. But I think the West is really up for grabs. It's amazing to see what Denver is still doing without,
Phoenix,
right. But Phoenix also, Phoenix proving that, hey, we're for real. Like, we don't care nothing about the injury. We got the job done, and we trying to do something for real. So you gotta respect Utah, even though I don't think Utah get there, but you gotta respect Utah based on the season they have had. So yeah, I mean, you got 4 teams really that's legitimately like saying, hey, I think we can get there. So you got Utah, Phoenix now, Denver. Denver has a shot, and if the Clippers can get past the Mavs, obviously we're going to say the Clippers. But so the West is really up for grabs, in my opinion.
And the last two things here, our team is part of this foundation called the Hugh Jackson Foundation. We're trying to help him prevent human trafficking, making sure the community stays safe and the kids stay safe. So I'll send you the page so you can go check it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the last thing here, would you like to say anything to all the nurses, doctors, and essential workers right now?
I mean, we definitely appreciate you and thank you for, for putting your lives on the line, basically, and being there for those who, who was less fortunate and helpless. So we're thankful for you and we're indebted to you. Thank you.
Yeah, well said. And there it is. That wraps up episode 810 with former Duke player, also played in the NBA and he played overseas, Daniel Ewing. This is truly an honor for you to be joining the show. Great conversation today and keep up the great work. Hopefully you get your chance at coaching and you and your family stay safe.
Man, I appreciate you having me on. Same to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.